70% of all gold production in the U.S. comes from a single state, Nevada. Conventional wisdom says that all the good deposits have been found. But one geologist who's discovered more than 30 million ounces of gold says he knows where to find Nevada's missing gold. And right now, he may be on the verge of being proven right.
Investors and speculators can learn more at crushthestreet.com/gold.
I knew this was coming. There were warnings.
Hello everyone and welcome into crushthestreet.com. I am Kenneth Ameduri, and ISM Manufacturing did come out for January, and the numbers don't look that great. ISM Manufacturing, of course, is a major indicator for how strong the economy is doing. If manufacturing is doing well, it's a good sign for the economy. The economy is producing something. They have something to produce. They have something to sell. And it's more of a fundamental indicator than waiters and bartenders just serving people. There's no production going on. It's just living. There's no driver for that economy. But when you have people producing something, selling something to other countries, well, that's a fundamental driver, and we don't have that to a large extent, and that is what is substantially shrinking in this economy. And a number below 50 means that manufacturing is shrinking. This is the third month in a row that we are seeing manufacturing shrink in this Obama recovery, and things are not looking that good. Now, Obama did say that he was going to create 1 million new manufacturing jobs by the end of 2016, and he's nowhere even close to that. Actually, if you go back to the end of 2007 to now, we've actually lost about 1 million manufacturing jobs. But let's give Obama some credit where it's due, that he's created 1.4 service sector jobs, 1.4 million bartender and waitressing jobs in that amount of time. And okay, to be honest with you, I don't actually think that the president has much control over creating or making people lose their job. These guys, they act like they have so much power over how they're able to manipulate and control the economy, even like the presidential candidates that we're seeing talk about the jobs. But Obama wants to take credit for the good. He's got to take credit for the bad. So it's Obama's fault that we are seeing the economy suffer. Last year, the private sector economy created 2.65 million new jobs last year. Sounds like a good thing, right? But only 30,000 of those were in factories. And that's an alarmingly low figure. And in the video that we released on December 31st, 2015, the perfect storm market collapse, we talked about the Fed bluffing with their interest rate hike, them trying to raise interest rates in the face of a collapsing economy, and that they can't do it. They're damned if they do, damned if they don't. And we now have the Fed Vice President, Federal Reserve Vice Chairman Stanley Fischer saying on Monday that the U.S. Central Bank is worried about the global market sell-off, and that they are unsure of how they will proceed in the very near future regarding raising interest rates. Now, personally, here are my thoughts. They raised interest rates by 25 basis points, and the markets panic. Whether it was coincidence or a direct reaction to the interest rate hike, the markets panicked when that happens. And it's all about perception in a lot of ways, especially for the short term. Now, I think they don't touch interest rates. They probably won't even lower them. Because they want to raise them, they probably will just try to keep it where it is. I think if they do need to spur the economy, they will go back to QE. I think QE4 is more likely in 2016 than the Federal Reserve raising interest rates or even them lowering them. Now, because think about it, you have QE, and QE was quote unquote perceived as successful. It was a successful operation. If you're an outside looking in, it's easy to paint the picture that QE is what helped get us through from the 2008 crisis to where we are now. Stock prices going up, real estate going up, unemployment dropping, all these different indicators that you can say QE helped us with. Well, in our most recent experience with QE, it's been quote unquote perceived as good, and I tend to think that we will see QE4, and they're going to have to step away from the interest rate move because it's been such a volatile reaction in the markets. And I think if they hinted that they are going to raise interest rates, I think we're going to continue to see the markets sell off and people panic. And, I just don't see it as something that would end very good. The U.S. national debt officially crossed 19 trillion. So speaking of the trajectory of the country, we've been talking about the U.S. debt being at 19 trillion, but we were always rounding up. Well, we're there. We're past 19 trillion, and we're on our way to $20 trillion. And if you look on my screen, you'll see that the U.S. federal budget deficit in this corner right here is just under $500 billion. And that actually puts us roughly at 19.5 trillion by the end of this year. But I tend to think that we could be significantly higher, even close to $20 trillion or past $20 trillion by the end of 2016, especially if we see a slowdown in the economy, a major slowdown. We're already seeing it, especially if we see a drop off in tax revenue, especially if the government tries to get in and stimulate things by going and getting us into deeper debt. And we do see those trillion-dollar deficit years like we have seen during the Obama administration. We have seen that. So the evidence is there, and we're kind of at that point, that breaking point where things are so bad that drastic measures are likely to be taken. And if we see interest rates go up, which I don't think is going to happen, we're going to see a larger burden on our payments and the U.S. federal budget deficit. So just think if we get involved in a major conflict in the Middle East. I mean, we're already in a major conflict in the Middle East. But imagine if a World War III breaks out. This is actually a likely scenario. And we actually have to pay for that, or finance it at least. And that could very well put us over the $20 trillion mark in a very big hurry when you combine all of these things together. Okay, let's quickly cover Iowa. I just wanted to do a quick video here. So Cruz won, Trump was in second, and Rubio. So it was rather surprising that we had Cruz victorious in Iowa, considering all the polls were showing that Trump was significantly in the lead. Now, so a number of reasons this could be. Cruz had a 12,000 man army, volunteering and really getting out there and pushing people to vote for him. So he had a really strong grassroots campaign, groundwork that probably beat out Trump and the rest of the other candidates. There's that. There's the fact that Cruz is very Bible-based. He's like a preacher when he kind of gets up there and speaks. He brings up scriptures, and he's connecting with a large traditional conservative base, who lives in Iowa. A state like Iowa is, largely Christian, so very appealing for an audience like that. And it's possible Trump bowing out of the last debate could have hurt him. Maybe people didn't like that. Also, the media has been painting Trump as pandering to Christians. I don't know if you saw his speech at Liberty University where he was trying to quote the Bible and kind of give the evangelicals something that they can connect with. He talked about 2 Corinthians. Of course, he said 2 Corinthians. And then he talked about how much he loves the Bible. It's number one. It's his book, The Art of the Deal, is second to the Bible. And I think his attempt to connect with evangelicals was a little bit too strong, and it might have seemed a little disingenuous to a lot of people, and that might have affected him in this debate and in the Iowa race, especially with a group of a lot of Christian conservatives. So that's kind of my thoughts on that. I don't know if honestly, it's tough. I mean, when you look at the whole country, I don't think any one of these candidates can truly represent all 300 plus million people that live in the United States of America. They all have flaws, and I don't think they're going to be able to be the messiah or the savior for the $19 trillion debt issue and the years of excess spending and, what democracy has become, this mob rule. So I don't necessarily think that these guys are going to be the answer. Now, I really dislike Clinton and Sanders. I do hope Clinton does get indicted. So she is disqualified. I mean, I would hate to see her become president. Out of all of them, she would be the one I least like. Sanders is up there as well. I don't like him. He does talk about things like the corrupt banking industry. He talks about politics being corrupt and, kind of things that, we connect with. Hey, we're the policemen of the world, things that I kind of go, oh, okay, I see where I agree with him there. But then he wants to be like a tyrant and get up in front of people and take their money and screw the taxpayer and just redistribute wealth and really take the incentive away from people to work hard, build something for themselves, and live the American dream. I mean, he wants to be, and he's open about it, that he is a socialist, and that is very disgusting in America. I know I'm frustrated with America in a lot of ways, but it is sad to see this sort of leadership potentially as our president for 2016. So we'll have our economic crisis news at the end of the week. Everyone, look for our interviews. I've been interviewing a lot of people. We got some really exciting ones that we will be releasing this weekend. Talk to you soon.